Hello. Okay, I think we are live. At least I hope so. I am basically in this live stream, hopefully just going to be doing some collective and community readings, holding space for those who might need it at this time. Whether you end up watching this right now or at a later time, all is fine, acceptable, whatever. Hopefully the messages and whatnot reach you at the right time. I haven't prepared anything yet. I figured we could do that on stream. So I'm going to start by lighting incense, candles, all that good stuff first, while people trickle in. Okie dokie. And I have 2 candles in the back. That will be okie dokie. I'm not really sure which decks we're going to be using first. I figured we are not limited here in what we end up using, so I think I'm gonna go with Wild Unknown first. And Rider-Waite too. And I think an Oracle deck might be appropriate too. So let's go with Queen of the Moon Oracle next. And I think what I want to do before jumping into any actual community readings and whatnot, I think we will just start by asking the decks what it wants to talk about, and set the intentions for the space in that way. And I think we will do no reversals for this. And if you don't know what that means, it just means that if we get a reverse card, we're flipping it right back upside and reading it in the intended way. Cool. And then let's do one more shuffle. An intention for the live stream will be Temperance. Cute. This is a card of patience. Primarily, I feel like patience is definitely something that is needed right now with all of the stuff that's going on in the world and just in general with how we've all been feeling recently, being patient with ourselves, being patient with others. So I think that's a beautiful intention to set for the live stream, is just patience, being patient with each other, listening to each other. And one more, and the Lovers. This is funny because I did my Patreon community reading today, and something that came up was just the need for like lover's energy, which is more light. And I think it just like encourages like that interpersonal connection in a way that isn't so intense or serious. Just encourages you to have a little bit more fun with the people that you know. So I think that's also a really good intention for the live stream is that we are just sharing space, and it doesn't have to be so intense or scary or serious, more of a casual thing. I did want it to be a more of a casual thing anyways, so we'll just see what comes up. And now I'm going to be using just a spray to cleanse the space. This is a Sage Oral Mist by Memphis Conjure, not sponsored or anything. It's just a spray that I like a lot. So that's something that we will be using to set the tone in the space. And I think the kinds of readings that I want to do for this stream was one, I do want to do a collective reading. So I want to read the collective of just the world at the moment, but I also want to read the community. So that would be you guys and basically just anyone who ends up finding the stream, whether it's now or later. So that's going to be probably towards the end. I have picked some spreads for that. I picked like 5 or so. They're on my Pinterest right now in a separate board. So if you want to go see them right now, you can. But I want to use those because I think that would be really fun to just sort of like use spreads that I haven't tried before. I think would be fun. And let's start with a collective reading with Oracle. This is the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. Something the collective needs to hear at the moment. Something the collective needs to hear at the moment. Ooh. One more. Hello. This oracle does have a guidebook, so I think I will read from that. This one, Surrender. I don't know if you can see that. Surrender. Beautiful. The guidebook is over here. Surrender is number 26. If you're familiar with the moon phases, surrender is waning crescent 3. Okay, it says, it took me a long time to realize that surrendering was a positive thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mean the giving up kind of surrender. I mean the, okay, it's time for me to hand this over type of surrender. For those of us who are highly independent and used to doing things quite ably on our own, admitting we need assistance or that we might indeed have to let something go for our betterment can be challenging. Letting go and surrendering admits or exposes a vulnerability or two. To surrender, we may need to show our underbelly. We may need to admit we got it wrong, made a mistake, grew a bad habit, surrounded ourselves that are not good for us. It can make us feel raw in our realization. Remember, this moon phase is dark and beautiful. It casts a protective shadow that allows us to be as wide open as we need to be to do our work. We reveal safely to only divine in our, and then the light returns. And a companion stone is orange calcite, and I actually have an orange calcite, so that's exciting. Hello. I'll place that there. So I think surrendering definitely is something that is needed in the collective energy right now, just sort of letting go and accepting that we don't have control over everything. It's not something that's super surprising to hear, but it can be like difficult in practice, I think. Like even if you know that that's what you should do in practice, like to let go and surrender, it can still be a really difficult thing to actually go out and do it. To be like, it's okay for me to relieve my responsibilities and my power and control over things. Um, let's do one more. For the collective energy. Okay, I'm looking at chat and I see you asking questions, and I appreciate that you feel safe and like comfortable to do that. But I do not do free readings. And if you are interested in a free reading, in a reading, I don't think I can put anything in the description for a live stream, but I have my information everywhere else. I'm just light ones everywhere if you want to go see. So that is that. And release. Release and surrender, I think, yeah, they're literally right next to each other in the guidebook. Surrender is 26 and release is 27. So timely. There is payoff if we decide to finally release something we no longer need. The payoff is as individual as you are, but there will be a universal feeling of making space for something new. The secret to effectively releasing what no longer serves you is, in fact, knowing that the payoff will indeed be worth it, which makes it super important to know what positive payoff may be. For example, giving up a habit such as smoking, which we know is detrimental to your body, has payoffs. What the most important payoff is for you may be different for someone else who is giving up the habit, but it needs to be clear to your mind, body, and spirit. You may give up so that your body feels healthier generally, or so that your children and those around you aren't exposed to the smoke, and that you live longer, or and then it talks about smoking for a little bit longer. In magic, in particular in spellcraft, the art of release after raising power is vital to its effectiveness. Should we raise power without sending it out to the universe or deities in a focused way, it remains stagnant or stuck. Yeah, I think again, like surrendering and release kind of just go together. We have the need to surrender to our control over things, and then we release naturally, quite like naturally in the process. So both of those things very important. I think I want to look at Rider-Waite now. I like the Queen of the Moon Oracle and Oracle cards in general for like guidance, and there's more like advice-based readings, but I also just sort of want to see what's going on with the collective before we go a little bit deeper into guidance, advice, whatnot. And then we can do, and for Rider-Waite, we will be doing reversals if they come up. The Hermit. It's peeking out. Although that is obviously very in tune with what's going on right now. Hermit energy, solitude, staying by ourselves. Okay, that wants to come out, so let's let it. We have Four of Swords popping out, so resting, rejuvenating, the need for that. I feel like it's two things at once. Where like on the one hand, that is something that people are already doing, but it also is something that people need to be doing a little bit more of. Not resting enough, not sleeping enough physically. So this is the Four of Swords. Ace of Cups reversed. Plans getting delayed is something that's getting into my head, but I feel like not necessarily just even physical plans, but like plans that you might have had emotionally invested yourself into, like um, hobbies, spiritual projects, creative projects, and that sort of fatigue settling into being a collective thing that's going on right now. Hermit, again, it came out earlier, or at least it wanted to, and I didn't let it, but now it's here. Solitude, spending time by ourselves. Hermit energy is also just very nice, like wisdom sort of energy, like feeling comfortable with just like being inside of your own head. I think that's something that not everybody has been comfortable with over the past like month or so, and that is also sort of like why a lot of us are being forced to stay in our own head now, not rely on other people's advice, wisdom, and solely focusing on within now. Collective. Seven of Pentacles, planning. Um, we're looking ahead, but I feel like with the Seven of Pentacles, this isn't like the eight, right? Where they're actually working on something. It's more like, I don't want to say procrastinating. For some of you, it might be procrastinating. But for many, I do feel like it's also more of a just like thinking over plans more so than actually doing them, and like recalibrating those plans, right? Like thinking about the long term is different now. I don't really have a strong grasp on everything as we once did. So there's that. Okay, and let's get one more before Oracle. And Six of Wands. Um, I feel like in some ways the collective sort of is like celebrating certain things, trying to like pat themselves on the back for like little victories and whatnot. I feel like in a weird way, celebration and like remaining positive is something that sort of has been coming up um, over and over again. Like even in my own personal life and in my friend's life, we get like little wins from the world, like little gifts and stuff. And that's sort of just like a reassurance that everything's going to be okay. You know, like it's a small win to help you like aim for the bigger one, you know? So there's that. Okay. Now I feel like I have a better grasp on the collective energy. It isn't as like heavy as I thought it was going to be. I feel like it's a little bit it's got like a nice duality to it where we are trying to be really, really positive. And sometimes that's not necessarily a good thing, right? Like sometimes we don't need like toxic positivity to like pretend that everything is a-okay all the time. But for the most part, I do think people are trying to keep a smile on their face, celebrate the things that are good in your life. And now let's do Cosmos Tarot. And with the Cosmos Tarot, I don't tend to read reversals. And that is basically only because in this deck, there's keywords at the bottom. I don't like to flip over the cards just to see the keywords. Although at this point, I probably have them memorized, but I still think it's nice to just sort of keep them upright in this particular deck. Let's see what Cosmos Tarot has to say for the collective. I think we're just going to do one or two cards from this deck. I kind of wanted to use like a bunch of decks in the stream, because I thought it would be a good time to just sort of like show or introduce the decks that I have. So if you're interested, this is the Cosmos Tarot. It's multi-artist, so it was done, I think, by like I want to say like over 50 artists. If you can see, like the art style is different in all the cards, basically. And it was one of the first decks. I think it was the first deck that I got that was multi-artist, and I really still love it. So, okay. One, we have 8 of water or cups. If you're familiar with Rider Waite, it says hiding from judgment, insecurity. And let's do one more. Earth King. Hoo-hoo. This one says long hours, complex work, earned accomplishment. Okay. I feel like something that the collective is sort of working through right now is like embarrassment. That like 8 of Cups energy does make me think of embarrassment. And that like hiding from insecurity phrase, I think definitely is something that people are sort of struggling with right now, is just like being honest with struggle. If you're struggling, like, I know it sounds cheesy to say that you're not alone, but like literally everybody else is sort of going through the same thing. And it's okay if you have to like ask for help. I feel like there's a lot of shame right now just in asking for help, because I think people do actually have a tendency to shame other people at this time for like asking for help, because it's also kind of one of those situations where it's like everybody's struggling. So you feel like, well, if I'm not asking for help, then you can't ask for help, you know? Like there's that mentality going around. So then people feel even worse for asking for help. And it's just like a cycle. And it's exhausting and unfair. So that's just something that's coming up. And another thing is Earth King, which is pretty obvious. There's this focus right now just on material stability. Um, I also feel like Earth King can just sort of be like the more logical side of stability, whereas when I think of like the Queen of Pentacles, that's more of like a nurturing, emotionally grounded figure, and the Earth King is more of a planner, like long term, thinking things in steps rather than like in feeling. And I think that is something that a lot of people are doing right now, trying to, on the one hand, detach themselves from their emotional state, but then on the other hand, um, like turning inward for those, working through those like emotional things, you know? Like you're splitting yourselves almost. Like you have your personal life where you're trying to like sit by yourself and be within your emotions. And then when you're externalizing, it's like a totally different face, you know? And I think that can be a problem. So something to keep in mind for the collective. I'm deciding what deck I want to use next. I think going from tarot oracle is a good move. So let's do animal spirit now. This is the wild unknown animal spirit deck. Woo. My heart already feels a little bit heavier. Oh, I should have silenced my text. Nightingale. Again, a very like communicative based card. I don't know why I said again. Oh, it's because I did my Patreon community reading, and that one was also like very communication based. I feel like at this time we are very focused on communicating with ourselves and others. just like self-expression is something that I feel like people are grappling with a lot recently because it's changed, obviously. Oh my gosh, my books are falling. Ooh, it just popped out in the process. Eagle. Just my books. They want to fall anyways. Okay, that's fine. Let's read from the guidebook for Eagle and Nightingale. This is the Eagle card. This is the Nightingale card. And if you can see up top, the little symbols are their suits. And I believe these two are the suit of air, which would make sense. Start with Eagle, since that's what came up first. All-pervading power, truth seeker, transforms karma. The noble eagle emanates the light of the sun. This great bird is both physically and spiritually strong and represents mastery over the elements of fire and air. When the eagle appears, you'll soon be thrown into the karmic fire for the sake of your transformation. That's 100% what's going on right now. The eagle pushes us to be our best and brightest selves and stops at nothing to see us shine. Grasp the sun in your talons and hold for the ride. You are stronger than you think, eagle child. When in balance, bright, radiant challenges. When out of balance, controlling, again, that theme with like control, feeling like we have to control everything. To bring into balance, step into the unknown. Well, I don't think I can word it better myself, so let's leave that there and then move to Nightingale, wherever it is. There it is. Fearless voice, speech, communication, or song. The song of the nightingale is otherworldly. This simple brown bird, almost unnoticeable among the flashy plumage of other birds, transports its listener to the realm of poetry. Nightingale energy is with us when we write, compose, and especially when we sing. It reminds us that music heals the deepest wounds. This card indicates a need to open the bridge between the heart and the voice. Is there something you need to say? How long has it been since you sang? Turn it up, write it down, and let it out. When in balance, sings, speaks freely with kindness. When out of balance, shy, lump in the throat. To bring into balance, music. That's beautiful. And I definitely think, again, that's sort of what's going on right now, that like need to communicate, not just with other people, but with ourselves too. Like connecting that inner voice to our like conscious voice is difficult, but I think that's sort of what we're like going through right now. And definitely is sort of like an awakening and a shift overall. So those are the two cards. Okay. Since we're just moving through all my decks, basically, I think we are going to move to Line Strider next. For a bit of a softer tone. And I think now we will ask a little bit more specifically for the collective. I'm a little afraid to ask this, but let's look at career, finances, more material aspects of things, see what's going on, and then, like before, we will do an oracle companion to the reading for a more guidance-based approach. Tarot primarily to see into situations and observe rather than to fix or give advice with, for the most part. So we will start with the observing. I need this to be over here now. Let's do just a basic past, present, future. Collective past, Three of Pentacles. We had so many, well, it makes me sad. We had so many like projects and teamwork based things going on before. Present, the Tower. Yeah, definitely in the Tower moment of change, destruction, things falling apart, um, and future. Page of Wands. I'm hearing the phrase like rejuvenated energy. It's like maybe the Three of Pentacles with this teamwork based approach where we were sort of working through things a little bit more logically. Three of Pentacles, Pentacles being a more productive and logical suit, planning based, and Wands being a little bit more outgoing, spontaneous, enthusiastic, passionate, go with the flow kind of energy. That's sort of where we're headed. And I think that's definitely what was needed. Unfortunately, it just maybe took the Tower to get there. If you don't know what the Tower is, hopefully you can see from this card. It's kind of like all the people falling off this building. I actually really like this depiction of the Tower in this deck. All the people are like falling off the building and it's sort of like crumbling to pieces. It's a little bit dramatic, but it gets the point across. I don't mean to scare you. Like, it's not like things aren't going to look up, because that's exactly where we're headed, is this like more optimistic, less planning based approach to things with career and finances and whatnot. And that could end up being a little bit chaotic, but that's okay. Things are chaotic as is. So, and now let's do these are the Here Oracle. I was actually gifted these. And they're like meditation cards almost. I haven't worked with them very much, if I'm being honest. So I'm excited to. The benefit of all of this is that I've been working with decks that I don't usually work with that often. And I've been really enjoying that. Is just like working with decks that I don't usually work with. And I like this deck because it's very simple, even though it's jumping out at me right now. It's very simple, and I don't usually lean towards or like reach for minimalist decks, but I've been really loving this just sort of like calm, simple artwork on this deck. Okay, we have relax and adjust, which is definitely something that's needed with the work and finance related things that are going on right now. Again, this is literally everything to do with material world. So like material goods. It's making me think of like how people are hoarding things right now. There's enough to go around, so relax, don't take more than you need, and adjust to the changes that are going on around you. That might mean adapting in creative ways, but definitely like a go with the flow rather than fight it sort of energy. It's definitely not worth it to try to fight the changes, fight the Tower. Cannot fight the Tower. You are one of the people that was in the Tower. You're not overlooking the Tower. Okay. I think next we will do a weird time for. We're going to do it. So again, let's give this. And again, I don't usually like. Oh no, my connection is unstable. Okay, it went away, so I hope that we're good. This I don't usually lean towards brighter weight like variations, but I actually really like this deck. It's very colorful and very clear. Just look at images. interpersonal relationships. Eight of Pentacles, working really hard on those interpersonal relationships right now, working really hard to keep them afloat, working really hard to make that one work too. Let's do 2 more. Four of Wands. We've got a friendship card going. That always makes me think friendship. I know people have other interpretations for that card. Think about the foundations and like value in their long-term friends that they've had for a long period of time. Family too. A lot of our focus has. Let me ask before I say that, but Ace of Cups in reverse, literally. Romance sort of being put on hold, literally. Upright, this card is usually like a like new beginning, fresh start for romances, usually, particularly. The smoke is like enveloping my arm right now. And in reverse, I just feel like it's a little bit of a block. We don't have a lot of time to be focusing on like starting new relationships and seeing what's going on with our love lives and like re-examining things. There's no like newness to that I feel that can come about right now. And then let's do Earthbound Oracle. Slowly, all of my decks are just gravitating towards this side of the desk as I use them. This is the Earthbound Oracle by Skull Garden. This artist also has a Lenormand and a tarot deck, I think. So if you like the artwork on this deck, I highly recommend it. Even if you don't like Oracle, they have other kinds of decks. There we go. That's enough. Life and Terra. Earth. Okay, yeah. I'm going to take these really literally. We have life and we have earth. I feel like what I said with like the whole relationships are being put on hold almost for the collective at the moment. With life and earth, it's almost like seeing the bigger picture. We're focused a little bit more on literally earth in our long-term life. We don't have a lot of time, I don't think, to be starting new connections quite yet. There's a little bit more at stake at the moment, if I can say it like that, if I can word it like that. Knocked my deck. Okay, there we go. Okay, I was a little bit nervous to look at interpersonal relationships and things a little bit more specifically because those things can be a little bit more draining, but I feel a-okay, so we are going to keep going. I think at this time we will shift gears into community readings so that it goes for those that are watching right now and those that will find this video later. We are just going to be reading the community right now rather than the wider collective. And I definitely want to use this deck, which is an oracle. It's a weird one. It's like an oracle / tarot deck. I'll explain it when we get to it. But I also want to use a tarot deck. So I think we will work with the After Tarot. This one's a cool one. If you're familiar with Rider-Waite-Smith, this one, it's basically like that, except it's one phase after. It's one scene after the original Rider-Waite-Smith depiction. So, oops. There we go. It's a cool one. Again, I don't usually lean towards like Rider-Waite variations, but this one was such a cool concept to me, and I still really like it. Okay. Community's a little, it's like stiff. The energy is like stiff. Feeling like locked in place, can't move. Literally, like I feel like my shoulders are just like stuck there. Stressed out. Okay. Let's just do a simple past, present, future. Just break it in. Past, 10 of Wands, reversed. Oh my gosh, okay, I love this depiction. So if you are familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith depiction of the 10 of Wands, he's basically like holding all of the wands on his back, and in this deck, they've all like collapsed. So it's kind of like the aftermath of that, but it's reversed. So I feel like this is literally like stressful situations and responsibilities and things being put on hold again. We've got that stiff energy for my shoulders. No wonder it was in my shoulders. This card literally has him like carrying it on his back. Present. 6 of Cups reversed. So much being put on hold at the moment. Connections with old friends and like people that you're familiar with, environments that you're familiar with being put on hold too. Not really being able to connect in the way that you wanted. Ooh, the incense right now. Okay. And where we're headed is 3 of Cups, which is beautiful. We've got that more celebratory energy going on. Being able to celebrate, share things, communicate a little bit more openly after all this is over, which is great. I feel like there's just such like an antsy energy to everything, and at the same time, it's stiff, which sucks because like those two things at the same time can be just like very overwhelming and frustrating. But like the Eagle card reminded us, not everything is in our control. We just sort of have to let things happen as they happen. Okay. And now we will do things with the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck. And again, it's funny because it's an oracle deck, but it's called Psychic Tarot. I'll just show you. So it is like a tarot deck in that it has the 22 major arcana. So it says like light, right? Major arcana 19, 21 universe. This is world. And it has the suits. So like 9 of water in this deck, I think it's called, but cups, if you're familiar with that, is fulfillment of wishes. So like the manifesting card, the wish card, literally, as is in Rider-Waite-Smith. But then we're missing the court cards, so the pages, knights, queens, and kings. And we have extra cards. We have chakra cards to this deck. So it's a cool deck in that like it's, I think, like a fantastic beginner's deck if you are looking to get into tarot and oracle, because it has those really nice like keywords on it, and it is like semi-traditional in the way that it's structured. But if you get it, you just have to keep in mind that it's missing a few things, and then it has a little bit extra. But I've enjoyed it. And I find that this deck is just super clear to read with. Like, I don't want to say it's like more or less accurate than my other decks, but it just has like a way of communicating that I think is just so easy to read, you know? Community messages. Oh no. Let's leave those out since that's what popped out. Okay, so we do have that Nine of Cups card from earlier. We have Sacrifice, Hanged Man, a lot of us being suspended in place, again, with that like stiffness. And then we have Material Harvest with the nines. So we've got 2 nines and then the Hanged Man. Okay, I feel like the community is more like focused on manifesting and building things up. You're sort of seeing this a little bit more as like an opportunity to build up the things that you've been wanting to build up, focus on the goals and hobbies and whatever that have sort of been put on hold for a while that you now have the opportunity to look towards. A lot of you are, I feel like, again, just like manifesting things. I think like writing things out, like making like vision boards or like scripting. I don't know what you're doing, but it looks like good overall. And it might relate very heavily to the like physical things around you. Maybe you're manifesting a lot of wealth, an ideal career, all of that stuff, while still being suspended a little bit and having to sacrifice. Yeah, so if you can see, like, it's a weird one because it's an oracle deck, but it's also a tarot deck. So I sort of naturally read it like a tarot deck, although I don't think it's meant to be read that way, but I don't know. I don't know. We're rolling through all the decks here. I still have more. I don't think we're gonna get through all of them because I don't have nearly enough like questions for that, but I think now I don't really want to use Lenormand cards because I'm not really down to predict anything right now. If you guys are familiar with like my shop and whatever, I've had predictive readings on hold for a while. I want to say like a few months at this point, which is kind of crazy. So I'm just not really interested in doing those right now. Although, like you saw, I was still predicting like some things in the future, but they're more like energies rather than like events. And I'm not interested in predicting more specifically at the moment. Okay, let's do the Ukiyo-e Tarot. I love this deck. It was, I think, it is the newest addition to my deck inventory. It was gifted to me. I know I was gonna say, I know I said I was gonna alternate tarot, oracle, but I don't have enough oracle decks for that, I don't think, so we will not do that. Okay, I think the next thing for the community is to, we've done general. Now we can look at, I'm interested in like the community's like spiritual, intuitive pursuits at the moment. So that's something that's coming into my head. So I'm going to do that. We're going to see where you guys are at with that. This actually might not be the right deck for that, but that's okay. We're going to try it anyways. Push this deck a little bit outside of its comfort zone today. One more shuffle. There we go. Beautiful. This deck shuffles so smoothly. Where is the community's spiritual, intuitive sort of practices at right now? Where is that at? 7 of Swords. Oh no. We cannot be shortcutting, okay? Like, it's okay not to, like, get to where you want to be immediately. I feel like it's important for me to just say that, like, wherever you're at is fine, um, with your spiritual practices or whatever, even if that's like nothing for you. Wherever you're at is fine. You don't need to like totally shift gears at the moment. Baby steps, right? Yes, baby steps. Fool, no jumping off the cliff, right? Reverse. We're on pause. We're not moving that fast. Not yet. Cool. Um, Anything else for in like regards to that you want to communicate to the Page of Pentacles? Slow and steady. And also knowing that you don't know everything is okay. You don't need to know everything right away. Page of Pentacles, I always think of as like the ultimate student, because when I think of pages, I think of students. And then Pentacles is such like a planning, earthy, willing to learn suit in my mind. And when I see this card, I'm always like the ultimate student. So I think like allowing yourself to be a student, allowing yourself to learn, you don't need to learn everything right now, right away. It's okay. Especially, I think if some of you are starting to learn tarot, maybe that's something that you guys are doing. Something that's coming up. If you're starting to learn tarot, if you're starting to learn Lenormand or whatever divination system that you're looking into, take it slow. It's okay. You don't have to learn right away. Most people don't learn instantly. So something to keep in mind. Okay, next plan of action, I think, is we did the general community reading. We did a more spiritual look on things. My eye is like being drawn to the Fountain Tarot right now. The benefit of doing things this way, again, is that now I get to go through all of my decks, which I never get to do. I think the amounts of times that I like reach for this deck is probably the least, which is unfortunate. Hey, we got Eight of Cups, which we got earlier. Oh, and Three of Coins, which is something that I just like turned to. Got all the repeats, which is to be expected with using several tarot decks in a row that are all being used by me, the same user. So not surprising. But yeah, I think this is the deck that I like reach for the least, which is unfortunate because I think it's a beautiful deck and the cardstock is just like so sturdy and wonderful. And I love the silver edgings. It's like edged with silver. I think it's beautiful. I think it's just a little bit more modern than am used to reading with. More modern interpretations of the tarot. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I don't know if modern is the right word either. I don't know. It just has a different feeling to it than most of my other decks. You know what I mean? You have that outlier in your deck inventory. What if we do a whole Celtic cross? I feel like that's a good move right now with this deck. We're about to get into it. Whew. And this doesn't have to be the exact cross that you are used to reading with if you are familiar with this card. It might be totally different. And that's okay. This is just the version of it that I learned when I first started reading cards. Actually, it was in this book this is the book that I first used to start reading cards with. A Complete Guide to the Tarot by Eden Gray. It's a more classic one. I actually just got, or I didn't get, but I ordered another tarot sort of guidebook called 78 Degrees of Wisdom, I think is the title. And I know that a lot of people have that deck and like have recommended it to me, but I always just like sort of leaned away from getting it because I was like, I don't need another tarot guidebook. I like refer to my other ones all the time still, and I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface like after all these years. But it can't hurt, right? And it was like calling my name, and I was like, we're all quarantined. We're supposed to be by ourselves. It's a good time to read, so it's on the way. That was enough. Whew. Getting tired. My chest. My eyes are stressed and like hurting. It hurts me too. So you see me like breathing a little bit differently. That's why. Um, we will start with the center fold of things. King of Swords reversed again with that theme of control, wanting to control things, wanting to control everything. I feel that, like, I struggle with that too, wanting to have complete control over my circumstances, and it's just not possible all the time. But that's at the center of everything, something to keep in mind. And then we have the Hermit again. How many times will we see the Hermit today? And that's also in the center. In the distant past, we have the Lovers. That more lighthearted energy, that more lighthearted interpersonal energy being in the distant past is something that makes me think that you guys are like reminiscing over things a little bit more than usual lately. You have a lot of time to be in your own head right now. So reminiscing over the past is bound to happen, but as long as it's not happening in a way that's like you are wishing to go back into the past, like reminiscing over something is one thing, but being stuck there is no fun. Recent past. Two of Cups reversed. I don't know how this is going to resonate for all of you, but for some of you, it does feel like you sort of had like a connection break off, like an important one. I'm getting this image of just like breaking in my head. It's not funny. It's just like what's happening in my head like over and over. So I don't know. That like breaking off of something like a chain breaking. It's like something hard. So it makes me think of something that was once stable and then broke. Um, yeah, not fun. In general, more generally, it could just be the whole breaking off from a lot of personal connections that you didn't expect to break off from. But I do feel like for some of you, it is like a important connection, like something that you were hoping to have for a little bit longer, and now it's not gone, but it's more fractured and broken than you wanted it to be. Centerfold. We have the fountain. That's beautiful. Oh, and that's so timely because in this deck, the